Keith one-time Thurman admits that Manny Pacquiao beat him fair and square. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Now, I'm out here in the hot desert, Las Vegas. Had a great time tonight with the main event. I got a post-fight coming with Omar Figueroa, Yordenis Ugas. I expected a bit more from that particular fight. I thought it was going to be more competitive. It was really the Ugas show, but I got thoughts coming up on that particular fight. Figueroa didn't look so good, but in my opinion, the main event delivered. Very good action, sustained action throughout the fight, and just two good styles clashing. Thought it was a good fight. Manny Pacquiao defeated Keith Thurman via split decision, and this is what after briefly reflecting, this is what Keith Thurman put on his verified page. I've always said I'm not afraid to let my O go. If you can beat me, beat me. Manny Pacquiao beat me tonight. Hats off to the Senator on a great performance. #1time, #Pac Thurman. So that ends the debate right there. Listen, before the fight, Ego Stradamus, I picked Pacquiao to win. I told you I didn't trust Keith Thurman. I like Keith Thurman as a fighter, but I did not trust him. And even before the fight, he was doing a lot of talking. Yeah, it's good to sell the fight, but he started saying, I'm going to knock him out in the first round. Like Juan Manuel Marquez, it took 4 tries for him to even knock Pacquiao down, let alone knock him out in the 4th fight. It's clearly not that easy. Pacquiao has proven over time, over the years, that he is an anomaly. Guys like much younger Chris Algieri, guys like Jesse Vargas, Brandon Rios, Brandon Rios and Vargas, they all thought they were going to do something with Pacquiao. But when you get in there with him, it's something totally different. I think Pacquiao is one of the last of the Mohicans, him, Floyd, Cotto. They're all from a throwback generation. Look at their resumes. I mean, look at how many fights Pacquiao has. Look how many wins he has. Pacquiao has more wins than Keith Thurman has fights. Pacquiao has more knockouts than Keith Thurman has fights, so it just goes to show you he's been fighting since he was fucking noodle weight or whatever in the Philippines, 98 pounds and shit. And, Pacquiao's a legend. I thought he did his thing. I gave you guys more of a in-depth, and I'll keep talking about it because it was a good fight. I think Fox did a good job promoting the fight. Keith Thurman did a good job promoting it. Manny Pacquiao, since he's been with Al Heyman, I think he's opened up more. Like you're getting to see more of his personality, I feel, than when he was with Top Rank. He was kind of like, yeah, it's up to my promoter and Bob Adam, and he's like cracking some jokes and But I think Keith Thurman, he kind of set himself up for failure. Like he reached the top, and it's weird. It's weird how Tyson Fury, you could put him in the same boat. These guys reach the pinnacle, and then they fall off after that. Who knows what's going to happen next for Keith Thurman. On one part of me feels like he might just kind of disappear for a minute. Like he's no longer undefeated. He just fought a legend. He made, good money. I'm sure when this is all said and done, it was a sold out crowd. So I really feel like Keith Thurman may actually disappear, for a while and not have any urgency. He said he wasn't coming back this year. So, we're not going to see him or Pacquiao until 2020. Pacquiao also said that, but I can expect that from Pacquiao, the guy with 70 fights. He needs to rest his body. Plus, he's a politician. Keith Thurman really has no reason to not go in there and, he could take any type of fight. Like, I'm not saying go in there and fight Errol Spence now. You don't have those obligations. You're not a champion anymore. You're no longer undefeated. You just took a tough fight, But I think Keith Thurman should come back. Him not coming back this year shows me that the hunger and the willingness, it's crazy. Tyson Fury beat Klitschko, and then all of a sudden he started, going the wrong direction, gaining weight, doing drugs, partying too much. Now, I don't know what Keith Thurman does in his personal life, but as soon as he beat Sean Porter and Danny Garcia, this is the guy that was calling out Floyd Money Mayweather at one point, and he seemed super hungry. And then he just disappears for 2.5 years, 3 years, and I can relate. Okay, some of it's an injury, But at the end of the day, how much of it really was the injury? Because I got the email from PBC, and the doctor said Keith Thurman's comeback time, his recovery time, is about 4 months. So technically, according to that email, when he got the elbow spur surgery, they said he could come back as like October. He got the surgery in the summer. They said October, November, he was going to come back. And then that went to January of that last year. And then it was February. And then he was coming back March, April, May. And then he said, this is my get back year. And then he didn't even come back until January of this year. And then you go in there with Pacquiao and you taunt Pacquiao and probably make him have one of his best training camps that he's had in a while, because he had extra motivation and he was trying to, make a statement. And I think Pacquiao ultimately at age 40, he made that statement, but this ends it right here, because I did my post fight. Some people were claiming Thurman won. Listen, I'm a fair critic. Pacquiao won the fight. I think Thurman made it competitive. He made it compelling. He also made it fun, and he won some rounds late. So it definitely got closer towards the end of the fight. But ultimately, he's already admitting that the better man won. So it's just funny to me when people always go against what I say, go against new media. And I told you Pacquiao's going to win. Now Keith Thurman is admitting, I told you after the fight, before this, that Pacquiao won. And then after the fight, you have people who always see these fights their own way, and you're arguing for something Keith Thurman ain't even arguing for. Keith Thurman is saying Pacquiao won, just like I told you before the fight. So y'all know where to get the information from. Keith Thurman, somebody compared him to AJ too. It wasn't that type of performance. AJ got knocked down 4 times and lost embarrassingly. I don't think Keith Thurman got embarrassed. I mean, the only reason you would say Keith Thurman got embarrassed is the theatrics and the trash talk before the fight. That's the only, kind of embarrassed. He said he's going to crucify Manny. Manny got T-Rex arms, and Manny's an old man, and he's going to retire him. I mean, if anything, that's the only embarrassment. But it wasn't that type of loss. Again, he showed heart. He showed dog late in the fight. He got dropped in the first round. That had to be discouraging. So he stuck with it. But I wanted to see more from the youthful Keith Thurman. Like, I think at this point, he had the tools to perhaps beat Pacquiao. But early on in the fight, he got lured into absolutely the wrong fight. It was such a frenetic pace, and he's never been in there with someone that didn't respect his power, that was that calm, calculated, and jumping all around and jumping in and feinting. Like, you got to look at the setup. The punch, I don't even know what Pacquiao just be doing shit that they would never. If you go to a boxing gym, nobody would ever train you intentionally to fight like Pacquiao. He's just, like I said, an anomaly. But Pacquiao jumped in. I don't even know what it was. Sometimes it looks like he's pushing his punches, but he clearly has power. But he jumped in. He's like flying at you. He's like Superman. So he jumped in with a jab. Then he went to the body. Then he came up top on Keith Thurman. And then Keith Thurman was trying to back straight out. Keith Thurman was making some mistakes in there, and that just shows you the veteran experience. Keith Thurman was squared up. He was like backing straight out at times and stuff like that. So, it's a learning experience for Keith Thurman. Pacquiao, he just has some stuff that you can't really teach. I think Thurman should have used his jab a lot more. He should have used his jab a whole lot more. He was backing straight. You can't back straight up if you're fighting a guy who's a southpaw and his best punch is a straight left. So you're an orthodox fighter and you're backing straight out, and you're fighting a southpaw who has speed, athleticism. He's short, but he can close distance really quick, and he's leaping at you and jumping in and trying to move angles, and got these big ass calves, got power. You're just setting yourself up for failure, and it doesn't make sense against any southpaw. You definitely shouldn't do that against the style that Pacquiao brings. So definitely a learning lesson for Keith Thurman. He just, the punches were coming at a weird trajectory. It was looking bad for Keith Thurman at one point, but I do think the saving grace for Keith was this: the fact that he did show heart and he didn't just succumb to the pressure and mentally fold. Like, you know, some people are saying this, that, and the third. I'm telling you what I feel. I feel Keith Thurman showed dog, because if he didn't, he would have let Pacquiao take him up out of there. He showed heart plenty of times because he got dropped. That was discouraging. He was bleeding and leaking, and he came back strong in the second half of the fight. He got hurt to the body in the 10th round, so he definitely showed heart. But I just think strategically and tactically, he shouldn't have let the fight get out to that fast break that Pacquiao needed, because as soon as the fighters flattened out around the 5th, 6th round, and as soon as Pacquiao flattened out based on some of the heavy-handed shots that he was able to land early, the 40-year-old Pacquiao, you started to see him slow down. But the thing is, Pacquiao had already put enough coins in the bank early, so he was able to like flurry and steal rounds and, you know, come on when he wanted to and more or less control the pacing of certain rounds, you know, show a good amount of energy. And he did it. Pacquiao's been doing this his whole career. Keith Thurman should have did his homework, because Pacquiao did this with Tim Bradley. Bradley would have some rounds where he was doing pretty good, and then he would allow Pacquiao to steal the rounds, or presumably steal the rounds from some judges' scorecards, because he would put up a valiant flurry towards the end of rounds. You know, it's a 3-minute round, and unfortunately that's how people score. You know, some people, you know, 3-minute rounds, you have to look at who's doing the bulk of the work, you know, the heavy lifting for the larger percentage, the percentile of 3-minute rounds. But Pacquiao has a flashy style, and he's jumping in, and, you know, the crowd's getting excited. That influences some people. So I think Keith Thurman, he's going to have to watch the tape, and he only has himself to blame. But I think he could have tightened up his work. And like I said, it was a good fight. There's no shame losing to a guy like Pacquiao. I think Keith Thurman had it in him to beat Pacquiao at this age, but he would have had to be more strategic. He let Pacquiao dictate the terms, control the real estate too early and too often for him to have won the fight. You know, again, with the crowd reactions and different things like that, and jumping in and flurrying at the end, he wasn't going to win like that. But I do think he made it close in the second half of the fight. You know, he had some really good spots. He just, in terms of the theatrics to build the fight, he should have been working on studying Pacquiao a little bit more. But, you know, that's just my 2 cents. Either way, I still think Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence are the 1A, 1B welterweights at this point. I think both guys tonight would have lost to Terrence Crawford or Errol Spence. You know, just styles make fights. Errol Spence versus Pacquiao is a totally different fight. That's why you'll probably see a lot of Pacquiao fans say, oh, I don't even want to see that, you know, because they don't want to see the legend get taken out like Danny Garcia did to Eric Morales, or the way a lot of other legends, when they get older, have went out. You know, Trevor Berbick beating Muhammad Ali, rest in peace, things like that. So nonetheless, it was a good, entertaining fight. I think Keith Thurman, you know, it's up to him mentally how he bounces back from this. If he just feels complacent, he accomplished some cool things in boxing, or if he wants to come back hungry. But it's a competitive division. I think he can still fight, maybe get a Pacquiao rematch. Him and Broner would be interesting. Danny Garcia rematch. You know, even if Sean Porter loses to Errol Spence, that's another good fight. So there's definitely fights out there for him, you know, in the welterweight division. Sergey Lipinets, I think he should come back to something like that. Sergey Lipinets, a guy like that. But Pacquiao is just, he's tricky, he's awkward, he's crafty, he's a southpaw, and he has 70 plus fights. So he has a lot of experience. He knows what to do. He knows when he's hurt. He knows how to preserve his energy and pace himself a bit better. Keith Thurman wasn't expecting that. So I think that's why he's accepting defeat the way he is. And again, there's no shame in losing, but I know some people are going to get, like, some people get too high or too low. I try to stay in the perfect center. You got to put each fight in its perspective. For me, Pacquiao still loses to Floyd Mayweather. We're talking about two different things. Floyd is not going to let Pacquiao dictate the pace like that, you know, and he's going to pot shot. He's more accurate. And that's what makes those two such great anomalies and generational fighters. Is you could see Floyd reduce Pacquiao to landing 71 punches, and I don't want to hear no bullshit about a shoulder injury. You know, Mayweather has hand injuries all the time. It's just the styles make fights, and the style Pacquiao brought to Keith Thurman was effective, especially early. Let me know what you guys think. Keith Thurman admits Pacquiao beat him. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. We working. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.